All right, so I am here live on both Facebook and Instagram. So happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the You Unfolded Live and Learn. Hope you had a wonderful holiday weekend. Hopefully, it was a long 3-day weekend for some of you or most of you. And today's Live and Learn is going to be how to start intuitive eating part 2. So, part 1 was last week. We went over the first 5 principles of intuitive eating. So, and we also went over what the history of intuitive and mindful eating is. And we covered that last week. And just to kind of recap the 5 points, it was to reject the diet mentality, honor your hunger, make peace with food, challenge the food police, and to respect your fullness. So, we're going to continue on with the next 5 principles of intuitive eating, and we'll continue from there. Again, I am your host, Yentel Lega. I'm a holistic registered dietitian and certified mental health professional, and I work with hardworking women to help them reduce stress so that they can feel and find their health, their unrestricted, balance, and beauty-filled life. So let's continue on without any further delay. So number 6 is to discover the satisfaction factor. So the Japanese actually have this beautifully. They really have this wisdom that promotes pleasure as one of their goals for healthy living. And we are in a constant fury of wanting to be thin and healthy, and we end up overlooking the basics of what is truly important. And that is pleasure and satisfaction that can come not just from eating. You know, when sometimes, how I mentioned before, if you have a craving, and if it's not satisfied with food, you know, sometimes it's not a physical craving. Sometimes what we are seeking is pleasure and satisfaction in other areas of our lives. So is it, sometimes are you in an environment that is conducive to that pleasure and satisfaction? Are you giving yourself enough experiences to have pleasure and satisfaction in different areas of your life that don't include eating? Definitely, there is pleasure and satisfaction in eating. And that's the other thing, too, that comes into play with intuitive eating, is really finding that pleasure again, finding that happiness again with food and with your life in general. So it is really about immersing yourself in the environment that you're in while you're eating as well. And by immersing yourself in that pleasure and satisfaction of other people, of your environment, of the food that you're eating, it's a lot easier to know when you've had enough for you. So that is number 6. Number 7 is to honor your feelings without using food. So this goes back to when you're having cravings. So first, when you start craving something, first stop. You know, ask yourself, is it really food? Are you truly hungry? You know, if you know that you haven't eaten for a while, then it possibly can't be hunger. But if you feel like, wow, I just ate not too long ago, why am I craving something? Why am I craving food? And a lot of the times we get cravings because of anxiety or boredom. Sometimes we're bored and that's the easiest thing to do, keep us busy, or we're angry or we're lonely. So it's important to kind of stop before giving in to the food. Honor those emotions. Don't avoid them. You know, I have a lot of people say, you know, I try to avoid any conflict, or I try to avoid, you know, really talking about how I feel. And one thing is to have not a confrontation, but one thing is to have a confrontation with someone, or to not want to have a confrontation with someone. Another thing is you pushing and bottling your emotions. There's different ways to express it. Sometimes it's not easy to express it to someone, or probably it isn't wise depending on the person, because there's no telling how they may react, or maybe in some cases it just isn't worth it. But it's definitely not healthy for you to bottle up your emotions. And sometimes we try to avoid them with food. So really honor your feelings. That's one of the things about intuitive eating that's so important. It doesn't tell you to avoid what you're feeling and to avoid your cravings. It's actually really paying attention to what your body is telling you and what you really need. So instead of looking for comfort in food, if you're noticing that it's really because you're angry, or because you're lonely, or because you're bored or anxious, instead of going straight to the food, really find other things that bring you, again, that satisfaction factor, that pleasure and that satisfaction. And ultimately, you do have to deal with the source of emotion. So if you avoid it, you're still going to end up having to deal with it, and it's probably going to be even worse. So it's best to stop it or deal with it initially in its tracks. Number 8 is to respect your body. This one it sounds so easy to say, but it's definitely a hard one to do. I have a lot of friends and family that have recently, or not too long ago, recently have given birth, or maybe, within the last year. I have a lot of friends and family that have given birth, that have had babies. And I hear a lot of, I got these ugly stretch marks and, loose skin, but I'm blessed because I just had a baby and I honor my body. Now, yes, definitely those are beautiful words to say, but take away the negativity towards the stretch marks and the way your body looks right now. It starts off with that negativity. It starts off with already bashing something, seeing it as a flaw, and saying, I am accepting myself, flaws and all. But it is not a flaw. I read something so beautiful today that, stretch marks, it's not even something that you just get during birth. You get that when you're growing. You don't necessarily get that, just from giving birth, or some people think that, you get it because you lost weight after being a heavier weight. But stretch marks actually is something that is a natural process that happens when you're growing. And the way it was expressed today that I read it was so beautiful. It said that your body loves you and values you so much that it makes room for you to live and to grow. And that's how we need to respect our body. Just like, every single one of us has a different genetic blueprint. Just like some people have a size 6 shoe and some have a size 8 shoe, you can't expect a person that has a size 8 shoe to squeeze into a size 6. And it's the same thing with our bodies. We all have different shapes of bodies. And yes, our bodies grow and change, but they're flourishing. And if you respect it and you honor it, then you are leading yourself to health, true health, to have that balance, true balance. And how we said before, that balance is actually having a calm state of mind. It's not saying, I can have this and I can have that, doing the good and the bad food. It's not about that. It's about having a calm peace of mind, and having peace with not just peace of mind, but peace with your body as well. So it starts definitely with the other principles that we have mentioned before, but definitely the respecting your body process is something that is an ongoing thing. It's something that you would do on a daily basis. So now the number 9 is exercise, but exercise to feel the difference. So most of the time we think of exercise as like very militant, more to lose weight, or to burn calories is really how we think of exercise, most of us, or how it's like presented to us. It's presented to us as a way to burn the calories of the things that we ate. And it's really not about that. Exercising is to feel how the difference that it makes to you in your body. And that's why it's also essential to find a movement that you enjoy, something that feels good to you. And not just because, well, this is the exercise they're saying is going to make me ripped, or give me, the abs, like what we were talking last week, that it's just ridiculous standard that they're putting on women. So it's really more about how you feel. Focus on whether you're feeling more energized, or if you're, for example, how we were saying, feeling angry or anxious. Is it making you feel more at peace? Is it releasing those emotions that you were feeling? Is it making you feel better? Is getting out and walking something that really helps relieve your stress? It's all these different things that is going to make the difference for you, even when waking up. It's definitely a lot more motivating to wake up and think of how great exercise makes you feel, and it makes you want to get up and exercise, as opposed to thinking of it just as simply a way to lose weight. It's definitely a lot more, you're less likely to hit the snooze button if you're waking up because it's something that you're looking forward to. And lastly, number 10 is to honor your health through gentle nutrition. And I touched on this a little bit on the Why Diets Don't Work Live and Learn. And all the replays for all the Live and Learns are available on my Facebook page, but also on YouTube. And you can find it under You Unfolded, with the U shared, just like my profiles here. But gentle nutrition is actually making food choices that honor your health and your taste buds. So it's not either or, it is and. So it's healthy for you, for your body, because every body is different. It's healthy for your body, and it tastes good to you. So the reason why the and is so important is because I hear a lot of people a lot of patients that I talk to, especially the ones that have to have their sodium restricted, their salt restricted. They feel great. Now everything is tasteless. Now I'm on a diet, so everything that is good for me or that tastes good is off limits. And that's such a horrible misconception that it's not really entirely their fault. It's all these, we've talked about this before, all these advertisements, and also like that it is partly the health community with wanting to express what is good nutrition. They are really labeling good and bad as a general rule, when it isn't a general rule. It's very individualized. So this is where intuitive eating bridges that gap between the health community and the anti-diet movement. Because the anti-diet movement, it really focuses a lot on body acceptance and loving your body just the way it is, and not letting the culture be the one that defines that you're beautiful and that you're worthy and that you're valuable just the way that you are. And then the health community also comes into play in really talking about what what nutrition you find in certain foods, which is important for particular people to know. If you have a certain health condition, or if you have intolerances or allergies, then there are certain foods that may not be necessarily healthy for you. But that is where honoring your health comes in. It's really paying attention to that. Seeing that if there's something that doesn't make you feel quite right, you don't necessarily have to keep eating it just because you're told that that is a healthy food. And again, you remember, you don't have to eat perfectly. There's no such thing as perfectly. And one day of eating something a little different than what you usually eat, one snack, one meal, or one day of eating is not really going to suddenly make you nutrient deficient or make you gain weight. It's what you eat consistently over time that matters. So it's really more about progress and not perfection. So those are the last half of the 10 principles of intuitive eating. So I'll recap the 10 once again. It's reject the diet mentality, honor your hunger, make peace with food, challenge the food police, respect your fullness, discover the satisfaction factor, honor your feelings without using food, respect your body, exercise to feel the difference, and honor your health through gentle nutrition. So I am looking right now, I did see a comment here about portions. So portion control is not intuitive or mindful eating, because again, it goes back to the standards of like who decides what is a good portion for you and your body. So that's when the whole honoring your hunger and feeling your fullness comes in. It's you would know when to gauge, okay, I've had enough, or okay, I am really hungry, I should eat. The portions, the reason why they do become important in terms of nutrition, not so much you individually, I'm talking about actually measuring nutrients of foods. That's when they come in. It's more about calculations to know how much potassium is in a certain food, for example, or how much salt is in a certain food, how much of something is in a certain food. It's more of a measurement, a scientific measurement, than it is a measurement for you to go by. It's not recommended in intuitive or mindful eating to go by certain portions, because it's going to be completely different with each person. What would be, I guess, an amount for me would be totally different than for someone who is a man who's 6 foot tall and 200, 300 pounds. It's just, we have to gauge it when we're full and when we're hungry. So if you have any other questions, do feel free to ask even after the live. I know I do watch the replay. I don't watch the replay. I mean, I look out for the comments on here even afterwards. So do feel free to leave your questions below. And again, the replays will be available on my Facebook page and also on my YouTube channel. And you'll find me on my YouTube channel. Ooh, I'm getting tongue-tied today. As You Unfolded, with the You shared. And I am going to be relaunching my YouTube channel. So there are going to be new videos on there. Right now, you're finding mostly the replays of these lives, but I will be relaunching with more bite-sized videos upon the requests of some of you, actually. So I'm going to be recreating the messages in these videos into smaller, shorter videos. So it's a more bingeable series for you, I guess. And also, I will be linking again the intuitive eating book. This is where the principles were referenced from. And I'll be back next week at 8 on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. And many of you, actually several of you, have asked to talk about the keto diet. So I will be talking about that next week. And just as a disclaimer, so you know ahead of time, I do not promote it as a weight loss diet. I'm going to be talking about how it's used as a therapeutic diet and who it can benefit and who it's not beneficial for. So I'll be talking about that next week, 8 p.m. Eastern. And hey, Kate, I know she's saying she'll watch the replay. Thank you so much, Kate, for that. And thank you guys so much for joining in and tuning in. And again, I hope you had a wonderful holiday weekend. I am just like so discombobulated right now because it's just been a long weekend, and it's like, so hopefully you guys are doing better than I am. And again, I'll be back next week. And don't forget to silence the standards because you are more. All right. Love you guys. See you again next week. Bye.